This man is a true renaissance man of journalism, of music, a 6-time Emmy Award winner, 2-time Grammy nominee. And this video I'm going to play for him and for the audience, I believe is as confident as an American male can be under any circumstances. This is John Tesh, knowing that he's got a hit song on his hands and also a crowd in the palm of his hand. Watch this. Yes, there it is. There it is. Yes, he knows it. Look at him. His soul is soaring, and we soar with him.
His masterpiece.
Yes. Well, yes. Oof. This is allegedly, according to Stugotz, the greatest sports anthem ever made. Wow. Right up there with "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and he gave it to us the last time he was on.
One silent moment.
Yes. No, not one silent moment. It's this and "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
It's one shining moment.
Yes, I don't know what one silent moment is.
You didn't find me, though.
I can't keep up with your mistakes. John, thank you for being on with us. One silent moment is what he described.
Would be an odd name for a song.
It really would be strange.
Silent Nights.
Perhaps. John, thank you for joining us. Certainly this fills you with the greatest of happiness, right? It fills you. That song makes you as happy as it makes us, correct?
Well, first of all, thank you. Yeah, yes, it does. And you know what? The funniest thing about this song is that when I found out that I was working for, I was doing the Tour de France bike race as an announcer back in 1990. And when I found out that through the sports grapevine, the NBC wanted, they were looking, they had just taken the coverage away from maybe with CBS, and they were looking for a new theme. And so I thought, wow, what would that sound like? And you know the story about the whole answering machine thing. But when it was on the air, it was just another sports theme. And so it really didn't become anything until people started learning it on YouTube, you know, and then people sort of longing back for the nostalgia of the, Marv Alberts, Michael Jordan, Celtics versus the Lakers rivalry. And so that's when it really became something else, which was a big surprise for me.
Well, you have told us the answering machine story, but for those who might not be familiar with it, because it's a legendary story, and I don't know if you have anything that sticks to you the way this song sticks to you, because I imagine all over sports fans are trying to talk to you about this.
Well, and what happened was, I was actually, when I was hired at CBS to do the anthology sports, it's like the downhill skiing and figure skating and gymnastics and all that. I was working on the Tour de France bike race, and I'd heard through the grapevine that they were looking for a theme. And so in the middle of, I was in Megève, France, and we were getting ready to do the next stage of the tour. And I was thinking, what would it, nobody knew me as a musician. I thought, what would it sound like? And so I woke up at 2:00, and when I tell this story on stage, people always laugh because they've done it. I woke up at 2:00 in the morning with a theme in my head. And I thought, I didn't have a keyboard. I didn't have a recording device, no iPhone. And so I thought, the only way for me, if I go to sleep, that it's going to be gone. So I called my answering machine back in the States, back in New York, and I left a message for myself. And when I tell that story on stage, people they're laughing. I think, why are people laughing? It's because everybody's done that. It's usually like, Brett, you to bring home some milk. Do that. So it was 2 messages, and the first one was my voice picks up, and it's like, hey, there's John. There's nobody home right now. Please leave a message. The sound of the tone, So I leave. And he cut me off, and I call back, which is about like $150 for a phone call from Megève, France, and like 35 numbers. And I call back and say, here's the rest of it. I started to, and I got home 2 weeks later, and I checked my messages on my answering machine, and I had 2. Both for me. Damn. They were this, and so I took the answering machine and put it on my piano, and I said, let me figure it out, And so I said, well, this might be something. And so I got the band together, and I thought, I know how these guys at sports think, and I'd known Ebersol because he was, he was a friend of mine. And so what I did was I figured out what the fast break was. And it was, so disco is, is 120 beats a minute, but a fast break is like 132, almost like a rap tune or EDM. And so I set the tempo at that. And then to sort of eliminate what they would have to do in their brains, I didn't send a cassette. I went into a studio. There's no laptop editing back then. I went to a studio and I got a bunch of highlights from the NBA. I edited it to the music, and so I sent in a VHS tape, not a cassette tape. And so when they looked at that, they were like, "Well, it was a simple phone call. Hey, John, this is Dick Ebersol. This is your song. What's it called?" And I was like, "Roundball Rock." I sort of made up something, and he said, "Well, this will work. Let us play it for 30 years and put 2 of your kids through college." And it was pretty much that simple. But it was just, I was writing themes, and so for me it was just another theme. I thought, well, it sounds right. And then once they debuted it, I think it was a San Antonio Spurs game, I was on the road again, and I knew that it was going to be debuted. And so I went into a bar, in the middle of the afternoon. I'm sitting there with everybody, and they're watching the game, and all of a sudden the theme comes on. Ba 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 da 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 da, and I'm just like, anybody, and nobody, and so the bartender's there, and I go, hey, you hear that music? And he's like, yeah, I hear it. I wrote that music. He goes, oh, great. Do you want another beer? So
nobody cared. How often?
I was very impressed with myself, but nobody else in the bar.
How often? Well, you should be, because it rocks. But how often have you been moved to that kind of inspiration to leave yourself a message on an answering machine? Has that happened often?
Yeah, that's a great question. Pretty much every week after it debuted, I did it. So I have, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 tapes of me just going, nothing ever happened. So I figured, and I've kept the answering machine. I have the machine, and I have the tape.
Brother, you have a wonderful, phenomenal voice. Have you ever thought about voice acting or reading like ASMR books? Like, it's incredible, brother.
He's got a great broadcast.
I appreciate it. Yeah, ASMR would be great. It would just be like,
Yeah.
It's amazing that's become popular now.
Amazing.
John, did I hear you correctly? The title "Roundball Rock" was almost off the top of your head. What would have been the alternative title had you not come up with that?
It would be like, theme number 32 or something. I mean, it's an instrumental song, so I had no. Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, I think I'd written it down like that, but early on, people were making fun of like Roundball Rock. What the heck is that? And so my greatest accomplishment musically in my life is that Roundball Rock actually has its own Wikipedia page. I discovered this.
Wow,
so cool. I was like, that's it. That's all I need.
But you've got an accomplished music career. This you wouldn't regard this as your greatest musical achievement, or would you?
No, I mean, probably Live at Red Rocks, which was the PBS special that I mean, it's a long story, but I was working at Entertainment Tonight in 1993, and I kept sending out tapes of my music, which I'd done for sporting events for years. I mean, golf themes and NFL and all the rest of that stuff. And and musicians love this because working for the network, right? I always knew when they needed a theme, and so I would just give it away. I would say, "Hey," and then you can just sort of live on the BMI royalties. And so I was writing themes all the time, but not until that Red Rocks thing where PBS took a chance on us, and we took a chance, putting it together. Did things change for me? We went from selling, I don't know, 50 records a month to 35,000, and that's when I left Entertainment Tonight.
Did it birth your music career? Did that moment birth your change of path, where you didn't want to be a television person anymore? Because Entertainment Tonight, for those who do not know, it was as big a show as we had in the United States, right? It was one of the bigger name brands in television. Yeah,
I was telling somebody the other day about it because, when I walk into a Starbucks now, people are like, "Hey, didn't you used to be John Tesh?" I'm like, "Yes." And there'll be some old guy in the back who'll go, "Hey, he was on Entertainment," and then they're like, "What was that?" And so I basically tell them a story about, in 1986 when I was on there with Mary Hart. I mean, 23 million people a night watched that. There's really no cable or anything. And the only time that you could, I was having this conversation with my daughter. The only time you could see a movie trailer was either in the movies or on ET. And so it was that popular. The problem with it is that when I was, going after all these labels trying to get signed, I think the guy, I think it was Clive Davis said, I don't know that we're interested in having the guy who reads his celebrity birthdays on the same label as Kenny G. You know,
That's funny. So
it
you
had
weren't
become-
serious enough. What you were doing was too much cotton candy for the music industry. You were.
There you
Oh
I wish
wow.
I'd said that.
Wow,
Yeah, that's good.
That's
But you're laughing all the way to the bank, so
I mean,
screw them.
right? And artistically, you got to do something evidently that's a lot more meaningful to you creatively.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about ET was that they recognized that I sort of had one foot out, and they and Mary Hart and all the producers there. Every time I did a concert, they would promote it and stuff. So it was really. I just couldn't do both at the same time. I wrote a book called Relentless, which is, back in 2015, I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer and given 18 months to live. Not to cast a gloom on the interview, but that was a horrible time for me. And it was, I think, going through the chemo and all the rest of it, being able to still sit down and play piano was real medicine for me. And also, there was a pile of prayer in there and medicine as well. But it was. I grew up as a musician. I grew up, playing my scales on Long Island, not far from Billy Joel. Everybody was in a garage band. I was born in '52, and everybody was in a garage band on Long Island. And Billy Joel was in a band called the Hassles, and I was in a band called the Best of Both Worlds, which had two bands that broken up and became one. And it was a Blood, Sweat, and Tears cover band. And so Billy's band was very popular. And so we were in a rivalry. It really wasn't much of a rivalry because if Billy didn't want the gig, then we got it. So Billy was like, and the Hassles was like the Hassles, and we were like RC Cola. That's really, I mean, my whole life was music, basically.
Well, according to Sports Business Journal, NBC has now offered $2.5 billion a year to get back the rights to the NBA to create a basketball night in America. Bill Simmons is saying, quote, "It's a wrap," and Charles Barkley says he's going to be on LinkedIn tomorrow. Has NBC reached out to you about reviving Roundball Rock?
They have, actually, yeah.
Yes.
They it's nothing, firm. But they said, "Hey, can you stay frosty on this?" Things like a Navy SEALs thing, because we'd love to talk to you about it. And we're actually talking right now about licensing it to them for the Olympics in Paris, which is always great. Yeah, I love. So we're actually going in at the end of June. We're heading to Nashville, and we got a full orchestra on hold. We're going to re-record it. Because it's the recording I think it still sounds great, but I wanted to make a few changes, maybe open up the middle, maybe we'll send it to you guys. You could turn it into an EDM track, that kind of stuff.
You gonna upcharge NBC, or what do you think?
I mean, it's just a licensing fee, So I figure if they're spending, what is it? What did you say? 2.5 billion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll take $1 billion a year.
There you go.
Are you going to
Perfect,
update the song? Is there a version of the song that has lyrics?
Oh, if you need a verse, let me know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Saturday Night Live. Yeah.
The Saturday Night Live clip. Do you guys have this? So you're telling me that this is a real story? What I thought was a spoof, you're telling me is a real story? Let's play that clip for John Tesh.
All right, fire away. All right, ready to do this?
Yes, I am.
All right, 2, 3, 4.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it!
That can't be the lyric. That's not the lyrics. That's not that's not
No, that's the lyrics. That's the lyrics. So my wife and I were on like a weekend vacation. We ran into Vince Vaughn. He was with his son. He was in the buffet line at this place called Paradise.
No, he's telling us a
So
story.
Connie, she's great. My wife Connie Selleck is great. She comes running up to him, and he's my size. I mean, he's 6'6" easily, and she goes, "Hey, this is my husband John. Do you remember the thing you did on him and with the Roundball Rock basketball theme?" And he remembered the whole thing. It was great. I thought we were like stalking him, but
this is a true story. Those were the lyrics, John.
No, they made up. Saturday Night Live made up those lyrics.
Okay, so there were no lyrics, right?
No, and I don't have a brother named Dave.
So there are no lyrics. There's no one who's asked you to put lyrics on the song. It's perfect the way that it is. It doesn't need any
Sounds
changes.
a lot like this sounds like you're auditioning for a co-writing thing. I'm in if you want to put lyrics in it.
Say less.
Juju?
Done.
I'm in.
Deal.
Juju,
I'm going
all
to send
right.
a verse over to you, COB, tomorrow.
Open up that middle.
All right.
But the words are already basketball.
Let's play for John the difference between these two songs. I'd like for him to explain to me the difference between the only version of the song that I've known that starts like this. Flawless, perfect, reminds me of a time, makes basketball more epic, but the other version that's longer has this in it. Even bigger.
Perfect.
Even bigger. Yeah. So explain to me the difference between what's happening there and why have I not heard that second one more?
I actually couldn't hear it. I just saw dancing.
Okay.
But, I don't know.
Imagine what you were thinking, but a lot grander.
Yeah. If he can't hear it, that makes it hard. Chris Cody, you want to try it again for the man so that he can... It's got some Star Wars to it. It feels a bit intergalactic.
Did you hear that one?
You're talking about the intros, a longer intro?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think they wanted to get to the song faster in the second one. But based on what I've seen on video right now, I think the second one's probably better because I saw more dancing.
That's good. Good enough. John,
we crushed that.
John, thank you. You especially. John, thank you for being on with us. We always appreciate the time, and we will always appreciate the song. I can't believe we're breaking news here. There's going to be a new version of this. NBC is going to fix all the bad will it creates by ending Charles Barkley's studio show, but replacing it with the glorious remake of this. Yeah. I think it'll be enough to soothe sports fans.
Stay firm at $1 billion, John, okay?
Yes.
John, we're playing your song in case you can't hear it.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Basketball.
Duncan.